Thank you. We'll see you in a few minutes, Diane. Tonight, our topic was not on the theory behind the census, but to actually find people in the census. And so I did not call you and ask you to bring a name of somebody that's in the United States that we could find in the census, because we're not talking about Hungarian census. We're just talking about the United States census. So did any of you think of somebody this week that you want to look up? Somebody that you haven't found before? Okay, yeah. Then let's start out by finding those of us. Well, each of us will either be in the 1950 census, or we will know somebody who was in the 1950 census. So let's start out. Ed, have you found yourself in the 1950 census yet?
No, I haven't really looked. Why am I getting an echo?
Ed, I didn't understand what you said. Say it again.
I think I got an echo. But no, I have not found it.
You haven't found it. Okay. Have you looked? And if you looked, did you look on the National Archives site, or did you look on Family Search, or did you look on Ancestry? Or none?
None. Why am I getting a feedback?
Oh. A feedback, because there's Edward. Do you have your phone on also? There's two. Edwards.
We do have two. We do see you on the screen twice.
Let me skip back and check out. And no, I don't have my phone on.
Okay. Do you want us to look you up first, or should we go to David?
Go to David. I'm going to try to correct this.
Okay. David, was your family in New Jersey in 1950? Or were you in the United States yet in 1950?
My family was in New Jersey in 1950, yes.
Okay. Then let's, do you mind if we use you as a sample to find your family?
Yes. I mean, no.
Okay. Tell us your parents' names. Were you in the 1950 census?
No, I was born in 1951.
Okay. Well, tell us your parents' names.
George and Margaret. Do you want her maiden name, or it was Caledonia? There's a married name, so I think this in the census, it would be the Caledonia, right?
Right.
Right.
So we need to spell Gelegonya.
Yes.
Okay. And do you know where in New Jersey they were?
Frenchtown, New Jersey. Hunterdon County. Yeah, it's Hunterdon County.
How do you spell the county name?
Hunterdon.
Hunterdon. Okay. Yeah. How many of you have already practiced using the 1950 census? Angel, have you?
How I find it is through Ancestry, and then I go and make a source. So I found my mom and my dad and Gary and also Predwin, my mother-in-law. That's how I found it.
Okay. So you have been practicing with the 1950 census. Okay. And I have some. The census, as it is put on the National Archives site, was indexed by the National Archives computer. And pretty much to find it, you have to know the location where somebody was at, the enumeration district. And you can find that on the stephenmorse.org website. That's the best place to look. Ancestry also has a way to find enumeration districts. But Ancestry's version of the 1950 census is what their computers indexed. And then Family Search is taking the ancestry, what the ancestry committee computers read when they read the handwriting, and that is, so we're taking the ancestry's computers handwriting to determine the Family Search index, and it is taking longer than they thought it was going to. So meanwhile, Ancestry has looked at their computer generated stuff, and they think it's good enough to go ahead and put on their website. So we can go to Ancestry and we can look for people. Charles, I found mine pretty easy. Charles didn't find his. And so we started looking for Charles's parents. And as we looked for Charles's parents, we started looking for his grandparents. When we found his grandparents, we found his parents living next door to his grandparents. But the computer had read Charles's father and mother's last name as Kugo instead of Hugo. And that's why we hadn't been able to find them by looking up their names. But so let's start with David's and see what we can find. So I'm going to share my screen and go to Ancestry. And you can go ahead and talk to me. And so I think I'm going to start out by hooking out a lot of these different ones I was working on earlier. I had an idea of some of Charles's family I wanted to look up in the census. Okay, so here we're at Ancestry. And when you come, this very top row that they have says Get Started. And so we're going to click on Get Started. And it's going to have these pictures down here. And so we're going to go down the pictures until we find Start Looking for Your Family in the 1950 Census for Free. So in other words, at first, they're not going to charge you. You don't have to have an Ancestry membership. But as members of the church, we do have Ancestry memberships. Okay, so we're going to go to Search Now. If it will accept there we go. And it gives us a template to fill out. So we're going to fill it out for George Galagognia. Gelegonya. Okay. And we are going to go on down. We're going to say that they lived in Frenchtown, Hunterdon, New Jersey. And we are going to add a family member. We're going to add George's spouse, and his spouse's name is Margaret. And then we're going to choose male and search. Is this how you found yours, Angel?
No, I would just go to the ancestor that I had and click on the Ancestry and then go to all the sources that Ancestry did. But I like this way.
But this did not give us George Galagognia. So we are going to edit our search and we are going to take out George's name. And we're going to check out Margaret's name. And the reason that I think that search might be worth doing is I do not know very many people with David's last name. So I'm going to guess that maybe there aren't very many in New Jersey. And we find one, Joseph, that lived in Wayne, Pennsylvania. Does Wayne, Pennsylvania sound like a place where you had family living, David?
No, it was Seward. It might be in the same county. Maybe that's the name of the county or something. But yeah, Joseph was my father's oldest brother, and he spelled his name differently. He spelled his name that way because he changed it when They came to America for some reason.
Okay. And when was he born by chance? About 1902?
1902. Oh yeah, birth date. Yeah, 1902. That
Okay,
was
so
in
this
Hungary.
takes us to this Joseph, who's living in Wayne County, Pennsylvania. And let's look at this page and see if this is your family or not. And I'm gonna have to move my Zoom out of the way. Now I'm noticing here that it's using my husband thinks I need to go. Am I going the right way, Charles? Charles thinks he's going to be further up on the list than this. I'm
Yes,
noticing that
Daddy.
everybody is listed as a patient.
There he is.
So here is, I'm at Joseph, but I'm going to keep going up to the top because I want to know what place they are at, where they're finding so many people that it says, oh dear, is this your ancestor, David? This is at the state mental hospital.
Yeah, that's him.
Okay. Well, I hope that we're not revealing information about your family that upset you. If you want us to look for somebody else and not find out more about your ancestor, we can do that.
Yeah, I know about that information. Yeah. It's
And you want us to
doesn't upset me. It's part of his history. He's 48 years old. Yeah.
If he had this little blocks by his name, we would get the second set of questions. But for the main questions, it says his name is Joseph, that he is white, male, 48 years old, has never been married, and is from Hungary.
Right.
It says that he works.
Works?
Yes, and it also says that he has citizenship in the United States, that he's a naturalized citizen. It says
Yeah, well,
that
he was
works
born in
at-
Oh, he was naturalized. Yeah. I guess
Yes.
he was.
So that
yeah.
means he was, and so that means that somewhere there's a naturalization court record for him. And
Yeah,
it says he works in the cellar at the hospital.
in the cellar. Okay, and I'll have to write it down. It worked in the cellar. Yeah, he was. Yeah, there's a newspaper article about him why he was put there, and I could tell you why if you like. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Killed his girlfriend.
oh dear. Okay. Yeah, this was on my, if you had this up on your computer, you could click save and it would list him. It would list this source. It would add this as a source to him in your family tree. If I
Right.
were to add him, it wouldn't help me any, so I'm not going to add him.
No,
But-
he's
but
in
we
there.
could
I,
have done
you
that.
know, had his temple work done and everything, and he's sealed to his spouse. It says that he wasn't married, but it was his common law wife. You know, as far as that
Okay.
was concerned. So yeah. So his work
And
was, he was 48 years old. in
common law marriages can be listed in family search if we make a notation that that's what it is.
Yeah. I'll check that and see if it was, and make sure I listed it as that.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, so we found David's brother. We didn't
Yeah,
find
there's-
his parents.
George's brother. Yeah.
Yes.
There's one other family.
Should we
Oh, go ahead.
look for somebody else? See if we succeed in finding him somebody else's name?
There was Fazekas. Fazikash that immigrated to the United States. I just found it yesterday, and I'd like to find out who they were and where, because
Were they
I'd
here in
like
1950?
to meet that person. Yeah, he should be in the United States before my 1950. But
Okay, spell his name again.
Fazekas.
Was that first letter an S?
F, like in family.
F. F-A-Z-K-A-S.
No, Fazekas. Fazikash.
F-A-Z-E-K-A-S?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So let's back up to get back to that initial template. And do you have any idea of how old he was?
No, I don't know.
And first name.
Let me see.
The name that you gave me.
I have an Esther Fazikash in 1954. I think that's when she died.
Was that her maiden name or her married name?
That was her maiden name.
Okay. What was her married name?
I don't know if she was married. Let's see. Sandor was her father. Lydia was her mother, Lydia Molnar, and she's listed as a child. And then I wrote 19 March of 1954. I think she was born in 1954. So just look up the name Fazikash.
Now I'm going to type it in.
Yes,
and I don't have
Sandor.
my hearing aids in, so I might not be hearing right. Did I type it correctly?
Yes.
Okay, and her first name?
Her father's first name is Sandor, and she was born in 1954. So wait, that's an 8 instead of a 9. Whoops, my problem. Yeah, but just the name Fazikash. I don't know the first name.
Okay, should I leave in 1954?
No.
And in New Jersey, you think, or Pennsylvania?
Birth was Hungary. I don't know.
Where would they have lived in the 50 census?
I don't know. Do I have to? Could it be anywhere in the United States? Because there's a whole.
Yeah, I
country.
was trying to narrow it down a little bit, but we'll just search this way.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. So, quite a few.
Wow, I'm surprised.
And here we are. Here we have some in Woodbridge, New Jersey, and in Somerset, New Jersey, and in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. A lot of
Well,
Hungarians.
maybe we should just look in New Jersey and see if this Charles sounds at all familiar to you.
No. No. I'm surprised to see so many in the United States.
Well, and this Charles that's here is a rumor in this family. He is not related to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it does not list him as a naturalized citizen.
Yeah, Sandor. Try that.
Now try it, even a different name on the search line. Are you saying to put Sander as the first name?
Yeah, Sandor.
Okay. Let's take out Margaret as a spouse.
Yeah.
And it is not going to give us a Sandor,
Okay.
unless, no, that's a different spelling. Let's look up John because he's in New Jersey. Let's look at his record and see what it shows us about this John. Do you recognize any of those names?
No.
Okay. So
Yes.
we're going to need to know, we're not successful right now in finding your family. I think we could keep looking, and maybe another time we're going to want to look more. What are some other things that we might look for to help him find them? First, maybe we need to check the family group sheets, or else find them on Family Search and make sure we've got the right locations and the right timings. It does make sense to me that if David was born in 1951, that his dad would have been here in 1950. But and it's also so easily that they misspelled the name. Just like I said with Charles's father, instead of spelling it Hugo, they spelled it. The computer read it as Kugo. And we would have never thought to look up for Kugo.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think
Yes, David.
the best way to start probably on this one is go to ellisisland.org and find out who his wife was when they came over, and and then I could see if when I'm doing that line coming forward to see to match that family to the family in Hungary that I looked up that I'm doing work on now.
Well, I think that that's a very good way to do it, is to look in those Ellis Island records first. Do you know that if somebody came over before Ellis Island, their records will be in Castle Garden?
Well,
So if you that's just a trivia for you to know. Okay.
Is that castlegarden.com?
Nancy,
Yes.
can we try to find one of my ancestors?
Yes, let's do.
Okay. His name is James Bettridge.
Now give me a minute to get back to the template.
Okay. He immigrated in 1948 to the United States.
He came to the United States in 1948. Okay, tell me how to spell his name.
James, James.
Is that his last name?
No, Bettridge. Bettridge.
J-A-M.
Start over, Angel. I'll try to catch it.
James.
James.
Okay.
And his last name is Bettridge. Bettridge.
Okay. Start. I just wish my hearing was clearer. So just try it again.
I'll put it in chat.
Okay. James Betteridge,
Yes.
Bettridge.
Yes.
Okay.
He
And where
married,
do you think he might have lived in 1950?
I don't know,
You don't know. Okay.
but he married Fern Pope in 1952.
Okay. So he's not going to be listed with her in 1950.
Yeah, and in 1950, I found her in Salt Lake City as a nursing student. So she was going to
Okay.
school.
In 1950, you've already found her.
Her,
So maybe he is also in Salt Lake City.
Yes.
Was he a member of the church?
He is now. I don't know if he was.
Okay.
I think
And-
when he was a member of the church. He was in 1952.
Okay. Well, let's look and see.
He was in 1930 too. Okay.
Did he live? But he didn't live in the United States in 1930.
No, he lived in Hucknall, England.
Okay. And his wife's name was?
They didn't get married till 1953.
Oh, that's right.
So, and his
Okay.
Fern Pope. So, and he was born in 1925.
Okay. There are several with his name that were born in different years.
Oh, what's that one in Colorado? No, that's not the right. No, that's not the right year.
Well, I am not seeing any 1925s. So let's look at this one and see what we find.
Okay.
This one was 43 in 1950,
No,
and that makes him way too old, doesn't it?
yes,
Do you know his parents?
yes. Joseph Orton Bettridge and Effie Hannah Bailey.
And they were married before 1950,
Yes, but they are in
Were-
England.
and they're in England.
They're in England. They lived and died in England.
So they never,
Never came to the United States.
okay. So here is here's somebody from England that was born about 1914, but that's still
Too
too young, isn't it?
That's
Too old, whichever it is.
Well, let's click on it. Maybe they got the date wrong.
Okay, but he was born in England,
Yes,
but his parents stayed in England.
yes.
This one is living in Greeley, Colorado, who is from England, not married, 36 years old. Greeley, Colorado is, I don't know what Greeley is known for. You know, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think, could we locate him with an occupation in Greeley that would have taken him from Salt Lake to Greeley? And I can't think of anything about Greeley that would give us the hint of his occupation. Here it says he is a lodger.
And 36. So no, the 36 is
Living with
36.
somebody that's a missionary in a church. Would he have been a missionary
No. He would have
with a
been like,
20-year-old companion?
yeah, no. Oh, I see what you're
Okay.
saying. Missionary church, yeah.
And it lists the person that he lives with, who is a missionary in an occupation of church.
Yeah.
You know, that would be a possible way to list missionary companions, would be to list one as the head and one as the lodger.
Yes, but he's not
um,
36.
And 36 doesn't quite match 20.
Mm-mm. No, because he would have been like 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's look up his wife's family and see if we see any hints on fan club. So let's do a search for, because you have her name.
Yes.
Now, I hope that one of the things that we're all noticing here is that we have to look at while sometimes to come up with the same combination that they gave the census taker. So back up here, let's put in his future wife's name. So
Okay.
her name was
Fern. Oh, sorry. Fern Pope.
Fern Polk.
Mhm.
Did I get it right?
Yes. No. Pope. Pope. Like the head of the Catholic Church.
Pope.
Yeah. Pope.
Now did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay. And she lived in Utah,
Yeah.
and her father's name was
Frederick.
Frederick.
Yes, but yes, Frederick Pope. But he didn't live. I found her in the 1950s as a nursing student.
Okay.
And I think,
Well, let's look for her without her father and see if we can find her like you did.
okay.
And so we're going to say 1950 for the date of the residence.
Mhm.
Fern Pope, Salt Lake City, Utah, born about 1931.
Yes.
She's 19 years old.
Yes, that's her.
Okay. So let's open up the census page itself and look at it. And we'll need to make it bigger.
Mhm. There she is.
Down here at the bottom. Let's move her up a little bit so we can get a good look. 19 years old, never married, lives in Utah. They're listing her as working. They are listing her as other, a student nurse at the hospital,
Yes.
and then their codes for more specifically what she's doing. Okay, let's check and see what hospital. I'm going to suspect that it's LDS hospital.
How do you tell?
The county general hospital.
Okay.
Lives at the nurse's home.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not LDS hospital. My guess was wrong. And it was done in April 1950.
Yes.
A lot of student nurses here.
Yes. I don't even know where the county hospital is.
I think it was pretty close to where the Salt Lake City County building is.
Okay.
It was still in existence when I came to Utah as an advanced student nurse.
Okay.
But I was at LDS Hospital, and I was here in 1967, so 17 years later.
Okay.
No. Yeah, 1967.
Okay.
Yeah. And did it say anything about, well, I've my cursor somehow off her name.
It's down farther.
It does not list anything about her being a naturalized citizen. So we can kind of guess that she was here longer than that.
Her parents were ranchers, so she lived in Wyoming and Montana, and then she left and came to Utah for schooling.
And because she was a young woman who wanted to get
Be
on her own.
independent. Yeah.
Okay, so have you found her parents?
No. And I don't know if they're in Wyoming or Montana.
Do you have their name?
Yes, I'll put it in the chat.
What did you say her father's name was?
Frederick. I don't know if he'll go by Fred or Frederick.
Okay. And her mother's name was?
ETTA Marie L. Pope.
Spell the first name again.
ETTA.
Like that.
Yeah.
Only with maybe a capital E. Okay, and so we're going to be looking we're just going to look in the world, in the United States. Do you
Yeah.
have a birth year for him?
I do. 1905. 1905.
A lot of them guess that she's one of the younger children in the family.
Let's see. There's 3
Oh,
children.
maybe not. Maybe not. Okay.
She was the youngest in the family.
Okay, she was. Okay.
Uh-huh.
You know what? I'm going to go back because I have her dad listed as a female.
Oh, okay.
I
That would be-
betcha. So I'm going to go back and change that to a male.
Okay.
Okay, and that's going to give us a different set of findings. Now I'm going to click on this edit button instead and go down and change to male. Okay. Fred Pope, Queens, New York. Seminole, Florida.
No, I think they lived in Montana and Wyoming.
Okay, we have 187 possibles.
Okay.
One of the things we can do is do Frederick instead,
Yeah.
or we could look for his wife.
I-
Let's go back and switch for his wife.
And I don't know, her middle name was Marie, so I don't know if she went by Marie.
Well, let's try Marie.
Okay.
She might have, you know, what people are going to tell the census taker is going to vary a lot based on.
And she was born in 1906, if that makes a difference.
Well, let's change it.
Okay.
Do you know where she was born?
Duchesne, Utah.
And now we're going to go down and change gender back to female. Now, there, okay. Tennessee, New York, Mississippi, New York, whoops.
Well, 654.
Now, here's the Marie Pate in Duchesne. So let's look up and see,
Oh, look, in
see
Fred.
what we find out. See what we find here.
That
Yeah,
could be.
I think
it'd be
we're going to be
80.
successful.
Yeah, herding cattle, ranch work. Yeah. That's where they are.
Okay.
Yeah. And they
And now oh, I was going to say I find this interesting. In a couple of mine, the wives are listed as working more hours on the ranch than the husband, but that's not the case here. Here they're both listed as working 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
Pretty to be a farm wife or a ranch wife is not a lazy job.
No, and I can see why they said PAPE, but I believe that's them.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
Now, so the lesson that we learned by this one is that you try different things and get different answers until you finally find what you're looking for. So the misspelling of that with an A, up here is a Joe. Look at how they made the O in Joe and how they made the O in Pope. Very, very similar. So that doesn't surprise us at all, does it? Okay, now if you've been following through and doing the same search, then you're going to click on the save button and save it to your tree.
Yes, and source it. Yes.
And use it as your source. Yes, absolutely. I think I'm just going to show you the example of Charles's family, which is very, very similar to what you just did and what we just talked about. And it's the same way. Charles didn't find his initially because of the misspelling of by the computer. His grandfather was born. I don't remember when his grandfather was born. Let's see if we can do it without it. His name was Chester. And it works best when you spell it the way you want to. Chester Hugo. Wife, Iva. Did we say California? Charles's family believed in moving anytime you felt like it. So
You change gender.
Charles did not know where in California they lived. One year in elementary school, Charles went to 8 different schools. So how in the world can you figure out where he was when the census taker came in 1950? Pretty hard to figure out. Okay, here is Chester Hugo with Iva living in Avenel, California, and Norma is listed as being in the family. So I didn't remember that we found him the other day. So we're going to look for the record on this family, and we're going to go straight to the original record, just like we've been doing. And now let's enlarge it. And here it is. Chester E. Hugo, 47 years old, married, from Oklahoma. He's listed as unable to work. That's interesting. His wife Iva is 43, and she keeps home the house with a daughter Norma, a daughter Junie, a niece Maxine, and a niece Colleen, and all of that fits exactly into family history. And the address is at 925, and here living at 923 and a half is Hugo Leroy E., which is Charles's dad, age 24, born in Oklahoma, working as a mechanic. Charles's dad was a mechanic with his wife Gladys, his mother is Gladys, and here is Charles, listed as a stepson, 6 years old. And so that is precisely them. But now if we click on this, we have to be able to get, there it goes. It says that his surname was Kugo and his given name was Leray. We would never have found him under Leroy Hugo. And sometimes we forget that when we're looking for Charles, we have to look up Clark instead of Hugo. But this is what we would call sometimes the fan club. People that were friends or neighbors that lived around them often have clues about who we're looking for. And that is, in fact, what we find here. And so if this is the first time we were finding them, we would want to know more about why is the stepson still going by his other name. And we would want to know the story about why these two nieces came to live with us. And as we study it more, we would find out that when their parents died, the two girls came to live with their aunt and uncle. So that is an example there. And if you just want an interesting story, I tell you, you've never seen a mechanic at work the same way that you've seen Charles's dad at work as a mechanic, because he had no legs. So he would just muscle using his strong upper arms. He would move himself up onto the radiator or onto the engine and proceed to work on the car there. And he could get a better view of what mechanic work to do than anybody that had to lean over. Okay, now let's find somebody further back. Does anybody have anybody that'd like to look for further back? Or do we stop because our time's up? Should we look for one more? Nobody's telling me yes or no. So let's look up. I'm going to find it by going to search and choose census and voter lists in Ancestry. I would do it a little bit differently in family search. And let's look up William Thomas Hugo. And Charles, tell me which census to look up. I am trying to find out, trying to verify who his children are and when they lived with him. Oh, Charles has changed my page a little bit. I'm going to have to get more detail about his family, about who William Thomas Estates, by going to Family Tree, Recents, because I had them up on the screen a few minutes ago. So he was born in 1857. So we'd like to see if we could find him in the 1860 census. The first thing we're going to do is look and see if there's a source for the 1850 census listed for him. And there is not. There is, however, an 1870 census. So let's look and see what he looks like in the 1870 census. And so we can click it. And that was quicker than if we would have gone straight to a search from scratch like we started out doing. Oh, this is going to be harder to read, isn't it? We have reason to believe that he died youngish. And I'm wondering who took care of his children after he died. So here is Samuel Hugo, the immigrant ancestor from England, and his wife, Eliza, from Illinois. This is a later wife, his wife that he married in Canada right after he immigrated. His name was Jane, and she was born in Canada, not Illinois. Okay, so if we come on down here, do we find William Thomas? Okay, let's go back and verify who William Thomas's parents are. Yes, his parents are Samuel and Jane, but Jane died in 1871. She should have still been alive in 1870. And I don't see a William or a Thomas or a William Thomas there, which means that I need to get out the family group sheet. Oh, here is Samuel married to Jane. So this Samuel is his brother. Here's Samuel married to Jane, and William Thomas was not living at home by then. So it wouldn't hurt any to just put it on the page and see if you see William Thomas. And we don't. So we have more research to do on William Thomas to find out if he did in fact die young. I'm having in my mind the memory that he died young and his brother George raised his children, but Family Search is not listing the son that I thought George raised. So I have more research to do on that family, or Charles has more research to do on that family. Any comments about what we've done tonight? Do you like this kind sometimes of a lesson better than you like me just talking? Would you like us to, does somebody have a family problem they would like us to think of ideas on? If we were to come up, say, for example, with either William Thomas Hugo and his children, or somebody, if one of you has a family that you'd like to look at, would you rather do that not next week? Diane's going to teach next week, but for the week after that, is that something you'd like to do?
I like that idea.
Do you have a family you would like to look at?
I could find a family, or someone else
Can
could
you do
find a
that?
family to look at.
Yes. Does somebody else want to look for a family, or do you want me to call and ask?
Who's still on
Okay.
with this?
What, Angel?
I could find a family name and we can look through it, or we could find somebody else who has one.
Okay,
And put all
then,
our skills.
what I think we should do is, if you think of somebody you'd like us to look up and kind of brainstorm together, let's do that in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And if nobody else volunteers, then we'll call and ask Angel. And we'll try to give you a few days warning, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I hope that Helen didn't leave. Did Helen leave us? Then I'm just going to make one other announcement. Starting next week, we're going to open on Sundays at 2:00, and brother and sister Tracy, who do both Spanish and sign language, are going to work in the center from 2 till 4. And then the Sparks at 4, and then the Top is at 6. So we'll once again have all Sunday afternoon covered. Diane, do you have any comments or announcements?
No, except that I went to First Ward today. They had their fifth Sunday thing, and it was awesome. First Ward is on the road.
That's how I felt about our ward. Our ward took today's fifth Sunday as a time to introduce the ward's work of salvation on both sides of the veil, both missionary work and family history work, and asked everyone to think of their own goals and come up with their own goals for what they would like to do for their own family. And I felt I was really proud of them and very pleased with what they did. Okay, then Diane, you'll teach next week? Do you know yet what you're going to teach about?
No, does anybody have a suggestion? I could teach about how to solve a problem.
I will be on vacation.
You'll be on vacation?
Who will be on vacation?
I will.
Well,
Okay.
Angel.
Maybe no one will come, so.
People should come. I learn something every time.
We tried.
You know, it kind of keeps family history in our mind, and then we can think about things. What in the world made me think about William Thomas's son that was maybe raised by George? What made me think about that today? I don't know. Maybe it was just pure inspiration. But we get the little ideas in the back of our brain, and we might not use them right now. Maybe it will only keep us enthused, and maybe it will come to our mind when we need that information later. So I have very much appreciated Angel's steadfast attendance since we've been doing these Zoom classes. And I'm always pleased to see the rest of you too.
Which Helen
We
was
certainly
here? You
didn't teach any
mentioned Helen.
beginners tonight.
Which Helen was here? You mentioned Helen. Which one was
Yes, I saw her name down for a while.
here? Which Helen? Our Helen or Helen Cox? Our Helen?
The one that has
Our
it
Helen.
said B. Yeah.
Our Helen? Okay.
And it says here that Edward has been watching, but I haven't seen his name down in the participants, but when I pull it up, he's there. So Edward, if you're still there, welcome. If you think of someone you'd like to, a research problem you'd like us to talk about in 2 weeks, email us or put it on our family Provo South Freedom Family History Center Facebook.
Thank you. and I
Okay, so now
appreciate
it's
you
time for the
including us.
closing prayer. What, David?
I think Ed said something.
I said, thank you for including us.
Well, we always appreciate you being here too. Would someone like to volunteer to say the prayer?
I could.
You could, Elsie?
Yes.
Are you feeling better?
Yes.
Good. Would you please say the prayer then?
Okay. Our Father in heaven, we thank thee for the Sabbath day and all the good things that we can do within it. We pray that thou wilt help us to be inspired to continue working on our family histories and temple attendance. And bless us with the help we need to be able to progress. In the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.